Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I am your host, Rob, from the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, in the Extreme Studios. I am glad to have with me from the Great Midwest tonight, RDV, as we talk about a movie that I think might be his first watch, and for many of you out there, probably is as well, as because it's a little film that only got big much later afterwards. That would be a Guy Ritchie film called Revolver with Jason Statham, which I think that's a pretty good hair piece, RDV, and I like the goatee look because, facial hair is a thing, right? But this is a
Mhm.
movie that I had already kind of seen before it came out, and I think it was done better, and it was called Fight Club. And I say that because Revolver is the type of movie, ladies and gentlemen, that if you're young and
Psychological.
yeah, and you're watching these kind of movies that they may say we explain the plot a bunch of times because people are busy scrolling on their screens, they don't have attention spans, they make it sound like you're the problem. No, that's just Guy Ritchie in the way he directs stuff. Because RDV, I got to tell you, I saw this when it came out. It's been 20 plus years, right?
Hmm.
I forgot how much I love sort of like a Euro trash kind of soundtrack, electronic kind of music, just thumping away a little bit as things are going on.
Hmm.
It's a very stylish movie, but it's one of those movies that I'm watching and going, I don't give a fuck what's going on, or I want to
It's
be
it's a
ripped while I'm
UK
watching it.
movie, Jason Statham film.
Correct. And Guy Ritchie has a certain flair and style to his movies, which you like. But this is actually, let's be honest, it's not, despite the violence, what happens in here, it's not a mob violent kind of action movie. It's
It's
a
not
head
Crank.
trip
It's
kind of whatever. It's
yeah,
kind of like
it's
what well what did we say about Keanu Reeves in The Matrix? That's a movie about consciousness, not kung
mhm.
fu. So
This is
Revolver
about
is much like that in a sense. It's
this is
it's not what
about
it appears to be.
ego and being able to trust yourself.
Yeah. And how do you trust yourself with this movie, sir? First
Um,
thoughts, come
well,
on.
it's the movie I don't remember. I may watch this back in the day because there's when these movies were coming out. Like after I watched like The Mechanic and stuff of that, I was watching or all these movies with him, Transporter. I
Hmm.
said I couldn't get enough. I was like, dude, this guy's pretty freaking awesome. Like, yeah, we're finally back, man. 80s action movies haven't ended.
Yes.
This might have been one I skipped, but I remember seeing the cover always because I had that bright orange and purple and stuff.
It's a
So I
great one
remember,
word name and it's a great looking cover.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I remember seeing the cover, and I was like, and maybe I did watch this a long time ago. And maybe I didn't get the first time I watched it, and I just kind of put it back in my mind. And maybe I was, maybe it was the same time because I once again I watched this movie and I'm watching. I'm like, and I'm starting to fall asleep a little bit. Not because of the bad movie. It's just that I'm just kind of
There's a
overtired a little.
trancy kind of element to it when you're
Yeah,
watching it.
and
It's yeah.
I'm following along for the most part. I'm paying attention to all the clues they keep showing everything
Hmm.
because they tell us exactly what the movie is as you watch it. It's like they tell you what the ending's gonna be, kind
Hmm.
of. And I'm watching this movie. I'm thinking like, is Jason Statham? Well, first of all, I'll just say this real quickly. Jason Statham in this movie is a convict, or a guy took a fall for 7 years and gets out. And Ray Liotta is the guy he took the fall for. And Ray Liotta thinks, this guy's gonna, screw him over, or talk, or want revenge. So he's gonna have him whacked. But when he goes to whack him, this guy can't kill him. The assassin, played by the awesome actor Mark Strong, who, and I'm gonna say one thing, Mark Strong, he's a straight version of Stanley Tucci.
Who doesn't cook like Stanley does? And I'm kind of knocking on Stanley, but I like some stuff Stanley does. But whatever.
Yeah.
Here's the
Uh,
thing: if you don't know what kind of movie this is, you know it when he goes to whack him because he's going there with his buddies and he bends down and there's a back then they used to have business cards you would print
mm-hmm.
and put stuff out and he goes to
Yeah.
pick it up and it says look at me or pick me up or whatever and he goes to do it and the bullets completely miss him and you're like get the fuck out of here and you realize oh they're trying
So
to do something like that with the film.
this is we'll point out that this was written by Guy Ritchie, but also Luke Besson had a hand in it and writing it. So
Oh.
that's why it comes off the way the movie it is.
Hmm.
Kind of remind me of Liam the Professional a little bit.
Okay.
The way some of the character dialogue was. Um, yeah, it's a detective like procedural kind of like thriller crime stuff. That's what it was. Very psychological movie, and I love it because I'm looking at the cast here. I pop it because we have Andrew Howard. Andrew Howard is if you don't know who he is, Lock, Stock, Smoking Barrels.
Mhm.
He was in there. I think he was also in Snatch too. I'm not sure. Might have been that one. But whenever I see him and Jason Statham in a movie together, it's gonna be a good movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and on top of this, I know it's a Guy Ritchie movie. Ritchie movies are just fantastic. They are very make you want to think, about things, because there's a twist. And this movie was very there was no exception to anything else. You basically had the same kind of setup. You got these guys who they run together, and now this gangster wants to take him out. But this guy survives, and he's like wondering what's going on. Why is it? Because he was going to take the elevator or take the stairs, and the guy's like, take the elevator. So then a series of events kept happening, because he gets these guys telling him what to do and stuff, and he gets this sees a doctor, and he says like, well, you have 3 days to live, you have this really rare blood disease and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys are like, well, we can help. And this is the guy who saved his life. The guy saw him give the card.
A crisis appears in his life that people appear to be able to solve for him.
Yes, and they're putting a and he's like, well, and as the movie rolls out, he talks about how when he was in jail, he chose solitary confinement for 7 years. Mm-hmm. And he's been these two guys. One guy was a master conners. The other guy was a master chess player. And these two guys, I'm thinking like right in there, like, are these the guys from the prison? We don't know. Or is this?
He's literally, the way they film it's nice, because allegorically speaking, he's literally the man in the middle of the two cells.
Yes.
So you have flip sides of the same coin, and that's the whole philosophical thing. You're right. They tell you that when he does the voiceover and says, your job's to kind of figure out whether you're, the genius or the victim,
and they keep
sort of thing.
And they keep feeding these lines, and it's like, about the formula stuff. And he was handed. She said like, these guys never spoke a word to me whatsoever, but I would intercept their mail and stuff or whatever. Like, so then I get this. So I learned his master formula and stuff, and he's putting his head, how to. He's like, I worked it well. I was able to take money out of Liotta's casino and stuff, and walk away with, it's just so. It talk, and Jason Statham has this thing. Is like, as far as he says, saying, he's like, you in order to not be the victim, you have to in order to be smart, you have to play against smarter opponents. And the trick is like the winning, as I said, is like making your opponent believe that they're the one that has all the cards, and you slowly get them to do what you wanted to do. And throughout this movie, these two guys are basically making him, they're loan sharks, and they're very casual about this, but they somehow know all these things, and they're making him take all the money he won from Ray Liotta and give it to people. And he's he's all questioning everything, and he's just like second guessing everything. So all this narration, inner monologue from Jason Statham throughout the movie, and you start wondering, like, is he schizophrenic? Like, what's going on with this movie? They keep showing these bags; they all have numbers on them,
mm-hmm.
and some other stuff he's doing is he's going around and like collecting money from people that owe money, and it's like, are these guys playing the con against him, right? Or is he playing the con against himself? Is he just think this is just coincidence, and he's just seeing things that aren't really there because it's like, remember,
well, here's the thing. When you're telling a story, it's not the main character or characters that are telling it. It's the writer and the director. The director,
yes.
And you and I, a while ago, we were talking about some movies, and I went on a tangent about Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's slow, it's this and that, doesn't make sense, there's weird scenes, nothing happens. He's very effeminate in the movie, kind of things. And it's like, well, the fact that about 20-30 minutes was cut out, and it was about stuff we can't talk about, and he was basically killed for it, allegedly, might make you rewatch it, but you have to watch it over and over again. You see all the symbolism, because you see like certain things that have to do with like the Illuminati and the Freemasonry and everything in it, and other things too about sex and kids and adults and lifestyles. And it's a movie about grooming, and people don't see it that way. But this movie for Guy Ritchie surprised me, because I go, whether I like his style or not, or can only handle so much of it, I think he really tried going there with this film, because to your point, if you can't trust the person that's doing the voiceover and all that, then you, I think, get disassociated from allowing yourself to listen to the messages being told. So, which side of the coin are you? Are you the mark, or the victim, or are you the other guy? Because there's always a little bit of both.
And if you can't trust yourself, in the point where it's just like you can't trust anybody, it's like you're dead. Yes. In this thing. And so basically, Ray Liotta's character is a guy. Basically, he's a guy who's going to push this cocaine stuff for big leagues guys called Mr. Gold. Mr. Gold in this movie, nobody knows who he is, but everybody's afraid of him. No one's ever seen his face, and his associate does everything for him. And as we're of the movie, we're led to believe that there's Ray Liotta was going to take the cocaine and sell us up, but Jake Green, played by Jason Statham, and his two associates, guy from Sopranos.
Yeah,
big pussy.
Not Tony.
Big pussy. Are gonna they rob him and they take the vault, they take the safe and all count, and they drag it with them with a tow truck. And so Ray Liotta sweating out. He's like, "You gotta go. I need, find who did this. He's like, you idiot, because they normally don't use the vault, but the guy is right hand man put the drugs in there, and so that's going on right now with that, and then. They go to these basically these triad guys or Yakuza types, and they're gonna go make a deal with them to get cocaine because they need to make money in order to pay Mr. Gold, because if he screws Mr. Gold, you're out. Once you fuck up, you're out. Mm-hmm. And so basically these guys. So then Jake gets involved with they throw another heist and they go into the hotel room and they see them. They're all dressed up stuff. They got the stuff on, and then they put the mask on. They go in this one guy's room, and they're pushing this cart, and it has gas in it, sleeping gas. So basically, they flood the room with sleeping gas, and then both rooms, the hotel room, and they go in there. Not only they take the triads drugs, but they also take Ray Liotta's men's money. And then and this is kind of where we get like a fist for $3, where they have like they basically have two rivals think each other, screwed them over. Mm-hmm. And so later on, Ray Liotta basically is about to get whacked by this hot Asian chick, girl, and Mark Strong, who is basically like his hitman. He's the one that's already missed 3 times and couldn't kill Jake, and he's freaking out. And I said, when I see this guy, Mark Strong, is like, I look at him, he's like, he's from the Kingsmen. That's where he's most recently from, But okay. He's also been in Sherlock Holmes. He's also been in Cruella, but he was really known for the Kingsmen. He was like the butler or something like that, with mm-hmm. Colin Firth and stuff. And I never really noticed though when I looked at him. I was like, he really, really does look like H. He looks like Stanley Tucci, with a little more, just Stanley Tucci always wears the glasses. Mark Strong isn't wearing glasses in this, and he comes off like an Agent 41 hitman. Right. And so he sees the girl in there. He's about to kill Ray Liotta, and he shoots her, and then he leaves. And I'm like, wait, did he? Because first we don't know who he was shooting at. We thought, did he just try to like bump off like Ray Liotta because they had issues? Ray Liotta was already like pretty much threatening him his life earlier in the movie for messing up because his emotions. When he went to go kill Jake, he said he didn't feel right, so he didn't do it. Mm-hmm. And so there's already some disloyalty and everything. And so Ray Liotta's on the ground. You see him, and I love this scene. He's under the table. Everyone's holding him there because they're like, "Where's the gun? What's going on?" And then the lady who was the waitress, the one who was the assassin, was going to kill him. She's laying there, and you see under her napkin, you see the barrel of the sniper rifle, or not the sniper, but what do you call it, the silencer?
Yes.
And she starts shooting at him. He's freaking out. She takes his finger off. Finally, Ray Liotta takes the guy's ankle gun and shoots her a couple times. And I'm thinking, like, dang. So this, not only is he's had all his bad luck to him, so it's starting to get to him too. So these guys who Jason Statham working with her too, he doesn't trust him either because like they hand him a gun, they wanted to kill this guy. This guy can't pay to make the money, and he's like, his inner voice is basically yelling at him, "Don't do it, don't do it." And I was like, or do it. And he's so conflicted. And he goes to pull the gun. He tells the guy, "Hey, back off." And he pulls the trigger, and it's empty. So and then you're like, well, what the heck? Is like there's a test, something. They knock him out. He wakes up in bed, and it is just like, who do you trust? Do you even trust
trust nobody?
Yeah, who's
Don't
real?
Don't be a fool.
Yes.
Whatever happened to
like
that
the
golden rule.
As you're the audience, you're pretty much played for a mark, which I love about this.
Yes. It's one of those what we call like a wink and a nod, where they're trying to do something. They're trying to do it in a way that might be a bit distracting, but
Hmm.
clearly, if you go back and rewatch it, you can tell what he's trying to do early on, and it might make more sense. Because I will tell you, when this movie came out, I'd already seen the transporter. I already knew all about it. I had no idea who this guy was. Statham.
Yeah.
We just reviewed it recently, and man, does it hold up! It's such a good movie, and
Oh,
there's a lot to like about it. And Guy Ritchie does it a little bit of his own way. I almost think I prefer the Luc Besson way myself a little bit better, but it's stylistic, right? It's hard to modernize gangsters and still keep I think, a very particular regional feel to it, like you do here with the British or whatever, right? Guy Ritchie's able to do that. So I really appreciate watching this movie, again, where I go, okay, I now I kind of had an
you,
idea what was supposed to be going. Now I'm watching, I can pick up some things that maybe I missed before, and it makes a bit more sense because most movies aren't that way, really. They pretty much are what they are, and you watch it, and there's nothing new that you get out of it. So it's a testament to Guy Ritchie's ability to be
yeah.
able to do it. And when it's a Guy Ritchie film, you pretty much know what you're going to get something.
Yeah, and I guess say, hey, we get to see Ray Liotta again. You know, it's
I was just gonna say, I mean, you
it's
mentioned a strong cast. When Ray Liotta passed, we did a
yeah.
review stream of him and all that with his career. We do that oftentimes with
But
significant actors, but
I
God, he's so good, isn't he?
he's so good at playing the same like bad guy gangster role and stuff. We see him like, killing them softly, which is a horrible movie, but he was pretty good. I love him in that.
Right.
Cocaine Bear, not the greatest movie, but I love this character. And I love him in this too. It's like, and he's like the big top gangster guy, and he's walking around in a Speedo, and you see this big old package showing off, and he's walking in the road, and he's just talking to everybody. He's just like, I'm just like, dude, like, can we not see that? I'm so glad I didn't see it on the big screen because I don't want to forgetting Sarah Marshall occurrence again. Or
There's nothing wrong with the Speedo. Come on.
well, no, I'm just saying I don't want to see a giant junk on the screen. So, like,
So I want to get a little theoretical here because sometimes that happens when you watch a movie that's very cerebral, because that's this kind of movie.
yeah, this is a very dirty, grimy movie.
He's learning the codes of the way they're speaking and with the chest, and he's practicing it out. And there's some symbolism in this movie that's not necessarily obvious. And whether you believe in a particular religion or practice one, we have a lot of people from Europe and definitely from Asia that listen to us. You know this.
Mhm.
So I'm simply saying that it would be accurate to say that American culture was initially based off of generally Christian principles with a heavy dose of freedom put in there. And whether people want to believe in that or if it's right or it's wrong, what I found interesting about what he did here is he kind of went a bit Jewish here, with some of the symbolism when we're using chess, because it's not good and evil or black and white or heads or tails or yin and yang. There's a little bit more to it than that. And so that's where we get stuff about like the color and the $12 bill and some of the sayings and stuff, because the monetary stuff's all Freemasonry. And so I don't know how much Guy Ritchie's into all that stuff, or maybe was he just for this one movie? I really don't know. But it's one of those things where once you hear a little bit of a conspiracy theory and everybody kind of believes that, it's not a big deal anymore, but it's still there for a reason. And I like how this movie can be nebulous. But I do want to point out one thing for our international viewers. You and I will talk at Me's the 80s guy and Use the 90s guy about some of the themes that happened like in the 60s, 70s, 80s that we experienced ourselves and other viewers and guests that we have talk about. And the one thing you've always brought up is kind of the same, in that you are a very strong proponent of owning the movie that you have in terms of physical media. Because I will tell you, I distinctly recall going, I don't know which version of this movie I'm watching, because you and I both watched it on the American release of Tubi television, which is free currently here in the States. But I don't know if we got that. And so sometimes that can make a big difference in the movie that you're watching, because this movie bombed when it came out, buddy. I'm telling you.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's 6.7, at a budget 27 million. Yeah, so like the whole mathematics of quantum mechanics, that's basically what the formula is. There was hidden inside there. And these guys, it says the great thing about these two men they was share time with, they promised to basically to like take him with her, but then one day they just, you said, they're gone, like they never existed. They're gone. And he had to survive 2 years. He comes out and he finds that these two men cleared him out of everything. So he had nothing left. So he starts using the formula because the formula is adapt. You can use it for anything, and he uses it to make money. So he eventually becomes blacklisted by all the casinos because
And if it's not obvious to people that are hearing us talk about it or you've heard about it, the formula is just it's intentionally vague. And I'm going to say this, and I say this in all seriousness, RDV, thing that is really philosophical in nature about how to decide whether or not you're the mark or the or the smart person or whatever, is by somehow this thing allows you to do it. We see that in the movie by these unbelievable instances of luck that he goes through by not being able to get assassinated and so on and towards the ending. You know, that's what makes it very philosophical and trippy. And the thing with quantum mechanics too that's interesting is, you know, we say that in the physical world, things have two properties. Everything has it. Properties of waves and properties of solids, right? When you get down to the microscopic level, weird things happen, and so that's where quantum mechanics come in. So it's all probability stuff here, and that's exactly what they're trying to infer.
So Avi and Zach, the two guys that were helping him out, they got the loan sharks. They eventually do a reveal on the rooftop scene when they're playing golf, and I'm thinking like, I want to say much of this. When it comes to people hitting golf balls off the roof, how is that legal?
Well, when you're rich and you can do it.
So they're doing it, and they reveal themselves who they are. They said, "Well, we are the guys that were to sell with you." Yes. You know, we're the two guys. You know, and we're trying. And they reveal they're trying to strip him of all his ego. You know, and help him with his phobia. You know, because he can't do. He hates being in claustrophobic. He said claustrophobia.
Yes.
And so they're trying to help him with that. And they also reveal that Mr. Gold was their creation. At least I'm hinting that. I think that's what they hinted at. That he is Sam Gold, the ultimate guy that everybody wants to aspire to be, but no one's ever seen his face. That was all thought up by them. And they've been using that to basically help what's his name get his revenge on the guy.
Yeah. It's that classical political thing of, man, I don't know, RDV, we have an issue with blah, blah, blah. You create a crisis so you can be the one to solve it, and that's how you gain power. It's just a question of whether you feel like you're a mark or not or what. Like when he goes in the doctor's office and he's like, how much are they paying you? How much? You got 5 seconds. And he counts down like that.
I gotta find
or not.
Because I gotta find someone they couldn't get to. So there goes this guy, and so he's like, "Oh, how did they get to you?" Because the guy gives the same thing, but then he hears revealed. It's like they tell him to go see a doctor, and it's revealed that I made a mistake. You're fine. You're healthy.
Yeah, and
it's just like they're just really messing with his head, and you know, he says, I love what he says about the money. He's like, you know. And summarizing it up the butchered way I could do it is like, I'm a dead guy. What do I need money for? But yet it hurts giving it away. You know, and it's just like the greed and the possessions of giving it away, and just like, and he's just I love that. And yeah, so throughout this movie, it's like they also want him like, you should kill Liotta, kill his character. This guy tried to kill you, like kill him, and he chooses not to, even though, and I love this end scene where he's in the, he finally does what he basically, the one thing is that go where it said your enemy hides where you least expect it. You know, the best where you is where the perfect, on the open, So taking that in mind, he goes into the elevator because he has a fear of elevators. He goes in the elevator, he's in there, and it's going down, and he's kind of like, I'm fine, and then it stops between 14 and 12. Or there, and he's like, "What the heck?" It's like it stalls, and he starts panicking. He's freaking out, but then he realizes that the other guy is like, you know, it's like the other version of him is screaming, yelling at him. Is his ego, and he's cleansing himself of that part of his body. You know, getting rid of that stuff. It's the part that had helped him survive inside the basically the persona that that he had, and when he was in jail, that he developed, and he's kind of like getting rid of it, and it was very like crazy. Like I'm like, is this guy schizo? At this point, I was just like, so
legitimate question, right?
Yeah,
you create these inner dialogues and characters for yourself to help you grow out of a problem or situation, right? I mean, you can brute force it one way, but when it doesn't work, well, you got to come up with a different way, or
so
it will work, and he had to, because it was in solitary.
The reason these guys knew what was going to happen to them, because one guy, he said, guy was running a con game, the other guy was a chess player.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew when you're a chess player, you're always 3 or 4 steps ahead. You orchestrate the stuff. So that's how those cards, hey, pick this up, duck, or like this.
Well,
so, and they use that. He said like the most dangerous thing you can have is a con man and a chess player working together, because like they're unstoppable. And so I want to point out though, when he was playing against, I think it was Avi. Avi's the black guy, the chess player, and he kept playing him, and he kept winning. He's like, "Oh, how do you keep winning?" He's like, and Jason Statham's explaining him. I thought that was hilarious. He's like, "You're explaining to the guy who's the master chess player, how you keep beating him." And so eventually, when the pieces do fall over, and like you realize, oh, how do you get someone to do something you do? You let them think they're in control.
Yeah, it's interesting because at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff comes down to human behavior. So like I have a close personal friend of 40 plus years who's literally a chess master. I'm not joking when I say that. He when we'd play chess, you're like, oh, I'm down 1 pawn or 2 pawns or whatever like that, because there's values that you give the point, the pieces. So if you have a total value of say 40 points and you're down 1 point, you're like, oh, 1 out of 40, it's 2.5%. Doesn't really matter. But the point is a smart player realizes when they have a small advantage, then what you do is you exchange all your pieces so that small advantage becomes magnified, and then the odds in your favor are winning. So you really practice how to have an end game, not screw up the beginning, and then just try to get a combination of something happening in the mid game and all that. And there's a flow to it. And the other thing with it too is you and I, sometimes I like to talk to you about my stock exploits and trading offline a little bit. And the thing is if you know what an average is, a day average of a stock or whatever like that, and you can say something's above the average or below the average, you're at it. But humans trade, and so do algorithms with all the big money institutions on 20, 50 day and 200-day moving averages. So you can do graphs. Everyone's like, well, you can't time the market. It's like, no, that's not true. So what do? You're not buying and selling a name like Nike if you're buying Nike stock, or buying a stock position like some people who like technical analysis think. What you're buying and selling is risk. So if you spend very little on a stock, but you can make a crap ton, you've got very little risk. That's an asymmetric upside. 1 or 2 of those is where you win it. And so when you're gambling and betting, I mentioned this with the martingale strategy a while ago on one of the episodes we talked about. You don't have to win every hand when you're playing poker. You just have to win the right hands and enough of them. So there's a mental thing to it. And what you hear with quantum mechanics, like, is, states, either something's on or off, it's binary or whatever. And yet talk about all these degrees of freedom. And so it's interesting that I thought, why the fuck is Guy Ritchie having the transporter guy talking to you about quantum mechanics and all this philosophical shit? I don't know. I don't care, because I kind of like it. And that's the thing to this movie. If that's not your kind of thing,
no,
you're not going to get this movie.
This movie is based off the Kabbalah, which is basically numerological references so through Hebrew, teachings back there, the Trinity of Zach. Like, look, I'm not going to read it off to you. Go on to Wikipedia. It explains downright, why everything is, who these characters are, and just even the different names that pop up in this to help them out. You have Vincent, Pastore, Zach, and you have AV. A lot of these are based off that Kabbalah thing, the Jewish,
it's a mystical kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not the actual religion, but
aesthetic or hysteric method, discipline, and school of thought in Jewish mysticism. Then forms the foundation of mystical religious interpretations within Judaism. Traditional Kabbalah is called Mekubal. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, but all right. But final thoughts. I said it was an interesting movie. It's not the Jason Statham I'm used to. That's probably why it bombed. Especially after you had Transport come out and then you get to this. It's like, what is this? This was a made-for-TV movie compared to like these other ones he's done. Not bad. But it's one of those movies you can rewatch and you start noticing the patterns more.
Yeah, and if you're a Guy Ritchie fan, like I know there's some hardcore fanatics out there, that's kind of cool. And I think I mentioned this before about Orson Welles, where when you make a great movie early on in your career, it's hard to top it later on. You can do good movies and do good things, or you try to change it up. But when you've got talent, can do stuff. Wow. So when I look at Guy Ritchie, I go, oh, it's not that, his movies have all sucked or they're all the same. Like
No,
sometimes you think it's just that. Well, he had the juices flowing creatively for this one.
I
He was
think
trying to do something, you know.
I think the reason I don't like as much is because I don't know how much Luke Besson had involved in this, because it seemed a little bit dry at sometimes. You know,
That's British. That's British a little
well,
bit.
well, here's the Luke Besson part. We got the hit Mark Strong protecting the girl and shooting everybody. That's literally unprofessional. But Mark Strong's scene in here in this whole entire movie is probably my favorite scene in the whole entire movie, because him just taking out the bad guys one by one. That is very much Leon the professional.
Well, we don't get a lot of movies that deal with
Psychological stuff.
gangsters and like, you know, hitmen and mobs in a way that's like cool anymore. And we had like Blade was really cool in the late 90s, but we also had like the Get Carter remake, which bombed, but it had a feel to it. And that was based off of a British one. And so we just don't have that. We're like, if you're watching The World Is Not Enough, late 90s or whatever, you can feel London. I really appreciate the fact Guy Ritchie likes to make London like a character, a very significant background in his movies. And I appreciate when actors do it, because you and I have both, again, getting this point out as often as I can. We like practical effects. We like natural stunts. We like very little CGI. So when people dress up and they're wearing suits and they're driving around London and all that, I don't give a fuck what the hell's going on. It's just kind of cool to look at and watch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you have the British actors and people that you know, there's this cool feel to it, and that's the thing I like about what Guy Ritchie does with this movie. So yeah, very watchable film. But you guys, you really need to. I hate to say you need to pay attention, because you do what the hell you want watching it. But
it's a movie you need to keep rewatching
than I remember, and I do appreciate that from him, because I thought his stuff hasn't been since then. Really,
not a lot of action. It's more psychological. You know, and all it's missing was a hot chick. Although we do get the scene with the triads. You got she's girl sitting with she's drinking alcohol, and she sits down. She's completely naked. So and she keeps every time you see her that she twists it down over covering her crotch, because she's butt ass naked, sitting with the dopey triad guy. But anyway, though,
Mel Gibson had that movie in the late 90s with Lucy Liu.
Yeah,
where he's like,
Payback.
All I know is Payback. If you watch Payback, this is Payback without any philosophy. A man's worth $50,000, because that's what he had in the bank, and he has the girl and all that. That's a lot more fun, but that's like an Americanized kind of version of it in a sort of way. But it just lacks the stylish there. But it's kind of fun.
Like I said,
I like some of these movies around this time of the year, you know, late 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s, I love. I said a lot of these movies, when they're outside, especially the UK movies, I love those. So, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we visited Lock, Stock, Smoking Barrel soon.
Yeah. What's coming up Tuesday night, sir, for the audience?
Tuesday nights, well, we're going back to I believe the final episode of Landman season 2. So,
what kind of dinner party we're gonna have? I keep saying the stripper Cheyenne's gonna make somebody a mark, and I don't know when it's gonna happen. But
I think he's fired, but I think what's gonna happen is it's him moving on to a new adventure, and I think Galino's gonna make him an offer.
You know what they need to do?
I think they're gonna.
They need to go mini golfing and say fuck the oil for a while.
I think Galino ends up taking Cammy to the cleaners and replaces
100%.
And he's gonna kick Cammy to the curb and be like, "Now you're my new CEO."
Well, I hate Mullet Boy, but you know, I really hate the romance angle he's into. So maybe she'll defect or something.
Cooper, a lot of Coopers we've been watching.
Cooper, you know, get that prenup signed, because she's already divorced you, even though she hasn't married you yet. And he doesn't know how to speak Spanish either.
But the
mother-in-law likes to teach him how to make tacos, because he's a skinny boy. That's what I remember about their horrible.
We'll see you on Tuesday at 8
p.m.
At 8 p.m. Eastern. Later, guys.
See ya.